Been up here for 4 hours looking for skinks, and I finally found one. So I'm going to slowly lift up. Ah, there he is. He went under my bag. Let's see if we can capture some of the action. He's hiding right underneath my bag. You see him? There he is. He's peeking out. Gorgeous red head. He's in breeding coloration. The males only have these colors in the spring, and then they dull down for the rest of the summer. Ah, this is so awesome. This guy's already lost his tail.
Skinks and some other lizards can drop their tails to distract predators. The wiggling tail is left behind while the skink flees.
There he is. Your 5-line skink. Got a couple little mites on him, or deer ticks, which are now crawling on me. The only lizard found in the Northeast. You can see his nice little ears right there. So there's external ear openings. And the females are much brighter. And he got away.
If you manage to find a baby 5-line skink, you can't miss their vibrant blue tail. Look quick, they don't stick around long.
Alright. It took me about half an hour. I had to move about a 500-pound rock to get him out. But this is eastern milk snake up here in skink habitat, no doubt feeding on little skinks. Actually, you could probably eat a big skink. He's about a little over a foot long, a gorgeous little milk snake. Only bit me once. They are quite aggressive when you do pick them up, but they are non-venomous. This is the snake that's very frequently confused with the copperhead, and unfortunately a lot of milk snakes die because of that. The young ones have reddish blotches on them. As they get older, they get browner. But in no way does this look like a copperhead.
Spotted turtles can be found in a wide variety of wetland habitats. They are easily distinguished by their relatively smaller size, black shell with small bright yellow spots, and large orange blotches behind each eye. Spotted turtles can be active at colder temperatures, and in early spring they can be seen in vernal pools alongside early emerging amphibians such as spring peepers, wood frogs, and spotted salamanders. The common musk turtle is 99% aquatic, only coming out of the water to bask or lay its eggs, like this one here. Musk turtles are fairly common here in Connecticut. They prefer ponds, lakes, and slow-moving rivers with muddy bottoms and abundant aquatic vegetation. Musk turtles can be seen cruising the lake bottom looking for prey. Here you can see no prey item is overlooked, especially a dead fish. Nicknamed stinkpot, these turtles have a musk gland located in between the bridge of the shell. If captured, they will release this unpleasant musk, which is not easy to wash off your hands.
If you look right there, it's a nice looking black racer. But if you even look at these guys wrong, they're gone. But once I get her to settle down a little bit, give you a great look of a black racer. Take a look at that beautiful snake. You can see that her eyes slightly face forward and that there's a groove along each side that allows them to see directly in front of them. These snakes are active hunters, huge eyes, great eyesight. and we're gonna let her go.
Baby black racers like this one are not black. They have dark brown blotches on a grayish background. It will take 2 to 3 years for this snake to turn black.
Even though this water snake is sitting right out in the open, I walked right past it. Now a lot of times when someone sees a water snake, they appear mostly to be black. When they get out in the sun though, they start warming up, you start to see these reddish brown bands going across their back. There's a nice yawn. Snakes tend to do that, open their mouths and stretch things out right after they eat. He may have just eaten something. You know, most herpetologists, as soon as they hear water snake, they think, ouch, I'm gonna get bit. Very gently, without him biting me, I want you to see his belly. Very pretty, rich browns and reds. Gorgeous belly. If you look at his eyes, they're positioned near the top of his head. That is to help them thrive in their aquatic life. Cool snake.
This juvenile northern water snake is taking advantage of minnows trapped in this shallow pool. Snake's teeth are recurved or point backwards. This helps the snake hold on to, maneuver, and then swallow its prey. My first encounter with a worm snake was one that was accidentally dug up in a garden. It's not rare in Connecticut, but it isn't often seen because of its fossorial habit. It spends most of its time underground. This secretive little snake prefers areas of well-drained soils. There they prey on worms and other small invertebrates. You can see how easily the snake pushes itself through the substrate with its flattened shovel-like head.
Look at that. What a cute face. This has to be one of my most favorite turtles that resides here in Connecticut. And that, of course, is the snapping turtle. Now, how do I know it's a snapping turtle? Well, besides from that big snap she just gave us, I can easily tell by her immense size. Snapping turtles are the largest freshwater turtle you can find here in Connecticut. You can also tell it's a snapping turtle very easily by that monster head. Very powerful jaws. Also, if you look on the posterior end of the carapace, you can see very serrated on the end right there, kind of like a saw blade. Also, on her posterior end, you can see that she's got a nice long tail. Snapping turtles have very long tails. Also, they have very cool, almost reminiscent of the dinosaurs, very cool scales right on the back of their tail. Now, if we look underneath, you can see that she has a very small plastron in comparison to her carapace. There's a lot of flesh sticking out, and that's how we know it is a snapping turtle, besides from her snapping. Now if you look in that snapping turtle's mouth, you can see no teeth. Turtles have no teeth. Instead, they have very sharp beaks, which they just tear off the chunks of their food and then swallow it whole. Now snapping turtles, and with other turtles that are aquatic, they can swallow food underwater. And they do that very easily. On the roof of their mouth, there is a special hole that's connected to their nostrils. So when they are swallowing their food, they can push the water that's in their mouth right out their nostrils. And her nostrils, you can see right on the tip of her nose. Now snapping turtles are 99% aquatic. They come out of the water for 3 reasons. They'll come out of the water to bask. Snapping turtles have been seen on sandbars and on logs, and they'll even bask in shallow water. Also, they'll come out of the water to migrate, to move to other ponds or lakes or rivers, and they'll come out of the water to lay their eggs as well. Now, I want to dispel some myths about snapping turtles. The number one myth I hear all the time is that so-and-so put a broomstick in a snapping turtle's mouth and a snapping turtle snapped it right in half. Well, that is a good story, and they do have a powerful bite, but it's not quite that powerful. Another myth I hear is that snapping turtles will come after you when you're in the water. That is also very not true. In fact, snapping turtles don't want to be anywhere near you when you are in the water. In fact, as soon as you jump in, they go the other way. Back in the first couple of weeks of June, a female snapping turtle came out of that pond over there into this field area to lay her eggs. And now it's September, and the eggs are starting to hatch. As you can see right here, there's we got a whole bunch of eggshells here from eggs that have already hatched and gone over back into the water. I dug up the nest to see if there's anything left in it. There's a couple unhatched eggs, probably not fertile, probably won't hatch. You can tell by the discoloration and the hardness of the shell. That's probably not going to hatch. But in my search around the general vicinity where these turtles came out, I actually found some babies. And here they are. We got another one over here. He's trying to get away. There we are. I came across 3 cute little baby snapping turtles, and they're only about the size of a quarter. They'll grow fairly quick. But what's really cool about turtles and other reptiles that hatch from eggs is that they have a special tooth right in the tip of their snout called an egg tooth, which actually helps them, slice the egg open so they can emerge. And take a close look right here. You can see that little white conical shaped tooth on right tip of the snout, right below the tip of the snout, and they use that tooth to slice open the egg from the inside so they can emerge, and then they shed the tooth usually in about a week or so, because obviously they won't need it anymore. But we'll let these guys be on their way. Actually, we'll help them over to the pond because these guys at this size have a lot of predators. Raccoons, possums, mink, large birds, hawks, herons, even a large fish like a bass could easily pick off this baby snapping turtle. But once these turtles get to an adult size, they have no natural predators, unfortunately, except for humans. Alright, well, we're in northern Connecticut, and we have a northern woodland species of snake right here that is fairly common in the north woods, but very hard to find like a lot of woodland snakes. But here is a northern red-belly snake, and they come in 2 colors. This is the gray phase. They come in brown as well, but both colors have a distinctive red belly. And you can see that beautiful red belly right there, right on the ventral scales. Now, in defensive posture, ringneck snakes do this too because they have a bright yellow belly. Usually bright hot colors mean the animal is poisonous or venomous or doesn't taste good. So when a predator grabs the snake, what they do is they coil up and they expose their bright ventral side as a warning color. Now, it's unknown to me if these snakes don't taste good, but a lot of predators know from experience that any animal that has reds or yellows or oranges will not make a tasty meal. Here's a neat little find. You can see a little head sticking up there and a little ring. It's a little tiny baby ringneck snake. Just to give you an idea of how small he is. Just slowly open my hand.
These have to be the easiest snakes in Connecticut to identify, for obvious reasons. If bothered, they will expose their bright yellow bellies in hopes to deter their predators. Ringnecks prey on worms, small invertebrates, as well as small salamanders. In turn, ringnecks are prey for larger snakes such as black racers and eastern milk snakes.
See the nice bright yellow belly. It's a good look at how big the snake actually is. And they never ever bite, but they do musk all over you, which is just as nasty as being bitten. So when you're coming through the woods and you're looking for snakes, the best way to find them is look for all these little sunny patches. You have to look through a lot of them, but eventually you come up to a sunny patch just like this one. You'll come across a snake. He's just soaking up some sun, getting some energy. See, even garter snakes can bite. All snakes have teeth. We'll leave her alone because she's feisty.
This garter snake looks like it's bitten off more than it can chew. Actually, it is more than capable of swallowing this American toad. A snake's skull bones are loosely connected, allowing for a lot of flexibility. Also, snakes have a special bone and rubber band-like ligament in between their upper and lower jaws. They have 2 lower mandibles that are not connected in the front, allowing the snake to stretch its jaw around the prey.
First ribbon snake of the day. Ribbon snakes are very similar to garter snakes. They have very well-defined yellow stripes going down them, not broken up like garter snakes. You see very straight, unbroken stripes. And also on the side, you can see that there's kind of a very pretty brown. And if you look at a ribbon snake's head, there is a very well-defined border between the dark brown on the upper head and the white on the upper jaw going down underneath the chin. A little bit more streamlined snake as well. Now you can tell the ribbon snakes are more of a sight hunter. Just looking straight down that snake's snout, you can see its eyes. Its eyes look forward. So they're an active predator, always looking. A lot of people think snakes don't have great eyesight. They rely on a lot of other senses. That's true. They do have great sense of smell. They can pick up vibrations through the ground, so they have great hearing in that sense. But some snakes, especially these active snakes, have great eyesight as well. It's great to see baby ribbon snakes. I love to see baby ribbon snakes. Born last year, no doubt. He's about maybe around a foot long, but no thicker than a pencil. These guys are vulnerable to a multitude of predators. Crows, other birds of prey, raccoons, skunks, possums, weasels, otters. They swim across the water. A bass, a pickerel, another large species of fish will definitely make a meal of this guy. Turtles will even eat them. Short-tailed shrews, which are little insectivores, will now and then take a small snake. Other snakes, milk snakes, racers, will eat these guys. So he's got a lot of predators to keep an eye out for. Luckily for him, I was not one of them. We're going to let him go.
The eastern box turtle was once a common species here in Connecticut. Unfortunately, due to habitat destruction and fragmentation, this species is now protected. Box turtles are definitely one of my favorite turtles. Each individual turtle has its own unique pattern on its carapace and plastron. Box turtles, as with all turtles, can live for a very long time. It is not uncommon to encounter a 40 to 50-year-old turtle. Some may even reach the century mark.
Now here's a nice look at an eastern box turtle, which we just found. As you can see, right on top of his carapace, he's got a radio transmitter. There's the actual transmitter itself, and the antenna wraps around the top of the carapace, and it's weatherproofed, and it doesn't interfere with this turtle's normal routine at all. And you can also see that he's male. You see his beautiful red eyes right there. I often get asked the question, why are these called box turtles? Is because of a special adaptation that these guys have. Turtles have two major parts to their shell. The top part right here, this is called the carapace, and the bottom part right here, this is called the plastron. And box turtles have evolved a very special plastron to protect themselves from predators, because where these guys live is right behind me. They live mostly in the woods, they live in the meadows, so they often encounter a lot of predators like raccoons, possums, foxes, maybe a bear every now and then. So to protect themselves, they have a very special hinge right here on the bottom of their plastron, which enables it to open and close their shell. And you can see that this guy, he's sticking his head out, he's checking things around. He's used to being handled because he gets tracked down, at least once a week to find his position. But you could probably get him to go all the way inside of his shell. You can see that he can seal it shut. And he can actually do the same thing with his back end. The back end of his shell is completely sealed shut as well. So any predator, would-be predator, would not be able to open up his shell. It's closed by very, very strong muscles along the inside of the shell, especially right underneath the bridge of the shell. So no predators will be able to open it up and have a meal of a box turtle. It was just raining out, and it was a pretty long downpour, but now that we got out, snakes are active, and we just happened across this beautiful copperhead, northern copperhead. Now there are two venomous snakes in Connecticut, one being the timber rattlesnake, the second being this northern copperhead. Northern copperhead's more common, although even though it's more common, doesn't mean it's easily found. You can see it's very cryptic coloration, especially when in these leaves, various shades of brown. If you look closely at the color markings, at the bands going across the back, it's definitely the most distinctive feature of the copperhead. You can clearly see the hourglass or bow tie patterns going horizontally. And they're really not a highly aggressive snake unless provoked. Unless you step on one or grab one, you can easily walk by a copperhead and not even know they're there. If I was walking by and I didn't happen to spook the snake, I would never ever have seen it. This is called the smooth green snake. It's the only snake in Connecticut that is all green. They kind of have a yellowish belly, yellowish green belly. And these snakes rarely get bigger than this. This one right here, he's probably about 16, 17 inches. They can reach a little bit over 2 feet long, but not much bigger than that. Now they eat mostly invertebrates, small insects, a lot of caterpillars. In my own opinion, they're one of the most gorgeous little snakes you can find. And these guys prefer to live in this scrubby area. It's a perfect habitat for a lot of small insects, so it's a perfect habitat for small insect-eating snakes. Now that we've looked at this snake long enough, we're going to let it go right back where I found it. And there he goes. You can see how he just pretty much disappears in the shrubs.
Hank Gruner is a herpetologist studying wood turtles here in Connecticut.
We discovered a pretty robust population of wood turtles. This gives us an opportunity to get some good baseline population information from an intact ecosystem with wood turtles that we can use to compare to systems in other parts of the state that are more disturbed. Turtles are important indicators to look at. They're characterized by a life history where they're designed to live a long time. These guys 75 years or more. And if females are especially important. It takes them 12, 14 years to reach sexual maturity. The youngest I've had here that was really active was about 12 years old. Majority of them are more like 14 years old that we find nesting the first time. So they have to live for a long time before they start reproducing and contributing to the population. They have high mortality in the egg stage and as the young. So not a lot of them actually make it. If you come back to the sand pit in about 2 weeks, you see a lot of dug up nests and a lot of nests that don't make it. So there's a lot of investment in the adults, and they're built for it. They're like a tank. Nothing really can kill them when they get to adults. And the turtles aren't designed to have adults be lost. That's when you start to see declines. But what it can be is it can be somewhat deceiving, because they live so long. You can go to areas where you basically have a functionally extinct population, but find adults, because they can live for 70 years. So you may find a population that's not reproducing very well, but still find the occasional adult. So it can be deceiving. So that's why we like to get studies where we can look at intact populations, look at the age structure of the population, get an idea of the numbers, the habitat use. We'll see some that'll be missing limbs. Otters, sometimes we'll get at them, or other predators. We do some measurements. This is a straight line carapace measurement where we look at the carapace, the top of the shell, and then we'll also do the same with the plaster on the bottom of the shell. Look for growth over the years. Look at that. The first time I think I've had a female biting at the shellfish. And what we're going to do is age her, and the way we do it is just like a tree. Because they have annual growth. They stop growing in the winter as they hibernate. And actually they really, as far as true hibernation, they're actually fairly active even in the winter under the streams. But what happens is they really slow growth. They're not feeding or they're not growing in winter, so they slow growth, and their bones grow just like ours. So what happens is they start to grow again, you get new growth rings. So just like on a tree, only the difference is we don't have to cut the turtle open, but you can look and they have concentric squares that go out toward the center of the plastron, and we can count those. And it's accurate anywhere from about 20 years or so. After that, it wears too much. This is a young one, you can tell. It's got very distinct annuli, or growth rings. They're also very wide, indicates some good growth. And as she ages, they'll become less distinct and will be less reliable. But when we get them early in the growth, generally below 20 years, we can get some good numbers, and then after that, we don't really need, we can keep counting each year. Yep, 15. I had her as 14 last year, so my counting skills are okay, I guess. She's a 15-year-old. So this is probably her second year of nesting. She'll nest every year and be healthy, provided she survives throughout her life. There we go. 9, 10, shoot. So we let her go off since she's so hot to go.
Just almost stepped on this beautiful eastern hognose snake. Getting a little agitated, very audible hiss. There's a lot of non-venomous snakes, including hognose snakes, garter snakes, water snakes. They'll flatten their heads out when they get agitated. You can see that he's got that special scale, rostral scale, on the tip of his nose, giving him the name hognose snake. These guys are fossorial, or subterranean. They spend a lot of time underground, and they use that hardened scale, that upturned scale on the tip of their snout to help dig around. They can dig through sandy soils, looking for their favorite prey, which is toads. They also prey on frogs, salamanders, about 100% amphibian predators. Now, this is a baby hognose snake that we just found. It's doing its famous "I'm dead" impersonation. When you're trying to flip them back over, they flip themselves back over. Hognose snakes are one of the most variable snakes. They come in a multitude of different color variations. They could be yellow, oranges, tan, even pretty much completely all black. I've seen some with red, especially around the neck area. I've also seen them pretty much all gray. So they are they're quite variable. And he's had enough of me. He's like, "You're not a threat. See you later." There's no doubt in my mind the snake has already spotted me. But it is a huge black snake. It's either a black racer or a black rat snake. on me, just to give you an idea how long the snake is. This is as close as I've ever gotten to a black rat snake without having it bolt on me. That's a great shot. Now, I had trouble telling if this was a black racer or a black rat snake from a distance. They're both long, they're both black snakes. Until you get up on them, sometimes they're very hard to distinguish. Most people don't want to get this close to them to tell them apart. But you can see the scales are kind of diamond shaped, not half circle shaped like a black racer. And down each individual scale there's a line. There's a keel. Rat snakes are excellent climbers. He's going right past his shed, showing off some of his climbing capabilities. Their bodies are shaped like a loaf of bread, very flat in the bottom. That allows their ventral scales to grip, no more surface area.
This is a hatchling black rat snake. Like black racers, the babies are not black but gray with dark blotches. It will take 2 to 3 years for this rat snake to turn black. The northern diamondback terrapin lives in brackish water. It is only found in the salt marshes of Connecticut's shoreline. Once common in Connecticut, the diamondback terrapin's populations have diminished due to shoreline development. As you can see, these turtles are very wary, emerging only to bask and lay their eggs. Terrapins have wide, powerful jaws that allow them to break open the hard shells of mollusks, snails, and other invertebrates they prey upon. Here's an eastern painted turtle, the most commonly found turtle in Connecticut. You'll often see many lined up on a log, sunning themselves on lakes and ponds.
She has tucked herself way in there. As you can see, she does not want to come out. It's a little chilly this morning. We just got her when she was waking up. See why they're called painted turtles. If you look underneath the carapace, very flat plastron. You can tell it's a female. And we'll let her go.
Dennis Quinn is a herpetologist studying one of the state's timber rattlesnake populations. Here he is working with an experienced veterinary team to surgically implant a radio transmitter used to follow the snake's movement.
It's nerve-wracking when you're doing that.
Oh yeah, no
Especially
doubt.
when your hand goes in that trash can.
It's a very long snake. Huge.
Yeah, this is a good size one.
We have one sterilizing?
Yep, we have them sterilizing.
But this will be the same size,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So, let me think this out, because I just do it without talking normally. You just keep enlarging your opening till it can accommodate the transmitter.
Yeah. Oh,
Bring them down. And when they're knocked out like this, I just go tail first.
Now that the rattlesnake has had its surgery, has a transmitter, surgically implanted in it. We're going to release it right back where we found it.
The purpose of this study is to determine rattlesnakes' movements and habitat use. Locally, there are two color phases, the dark phase and the yellow phase. The telemetry data will determine habitats that need to be protected to preserve the population. This mother timber rattlesnake just gave birth to 7 new babies. Here they are less than 2 days old. Rattlesnakes are ovoviviparous. Embryos develop inside the eggs that are retained in the mother's body. The telemetry showed that she traveled about a mile to find a safe place to have her young. In a few more days, she'll head home. The young rattlers will follow using her scent as their guide.
And look here, it's a little northern brown snake. Well, I shouldn't say too little, because this is a pretty good size northern brown snake. It's probably about a foot long. It's a nice warm spring day and she's just out here crossing the road. And we happened to cross her, luckily, before any other vehicles did. The nice thing about these snakes is they never bite. So we're going to let her go on the edge of this marsh here, away from the road. We're going to put her in the direction she was going. All right. I'm sure she's going to quickly disappear into this grass. Come on. Quick, quick, before the kestrel comes.